Alright guys, well I got some jack stands from China. They're really cheap on eBay. They're 3-ton jack stands. So I'm gonna jack the car up, get it on jack stands on all 4 corners. That way we're nice and safe. Hopefully I think this will be tall enough. If I remember the last one I did, that was what we had it on. Then I can start unbolting the transmission and hopefully drop the transmission this evening. That would be nice, but as long as the weather cooperates. I don't know if you can tell through the camera, but it's getting really dark. It looks like some mean clouds are moving my way. But yeah, let's get this thing lifted up. Alright guys, the Bellhousing bolts are 17mm. Alright, so you don't remove the line and then have to re-bleed your clutch afterwards. Just take the whole slave cylinder off of the transmission, unbolt it. Just make sure nobody presses the clutch pedal or it'll ruin it. But don't do that. But just remove the whole slave cylinder and like flop it over, okay? Leave it hooked up to the line. Alright, I was undoing the bolts to hold on the header, and I noticed upon further investigation that one of the studs had broke off. Nice, good stuff, good stuff. Here, I'll show you. Right there. I'm like, oh. And I can feel it. It's broke off inside the head. So yeah, I'm gonna get this header off here in a second, and nope. Well, there might not be nothing in there. I know it's broke off in there. Okay, well, so I'm gonna have to get that out. Fun stuff, fun stuff. Hopefully I won't have to pull the head. Don't want to do that. Yeah, but that's the current situation right now. Alright, well, we're going inside. It's, I don't know if the camera can see it. It's starting to rain and it's getting really dark. So, that's a wrap. Didn't hardly get anything done today. Got it jacked up. Got the manifold, or the header off, and now I found out that I had a broken bolt. And undid like a couple bolts, so don't feel real productive today, but there's always tomorrow. Hey everybody, this is Brandon. I'm back here with the Integra Turbo eBay budget. I don't know, I keep calling it different stuff. The Integra build, the cheap Integra build. But there are a couple things that I can do inside while I'm, you know, still wanting to work on the Integra. And one of them is something on my first car that I never even thought about until I went ahead and slapped it all together, put the turbo on the manifold, and I get outside and I'm ready to slide the manifold on, and everything's like faced all the wrong way, and that's called turbo, like how it's clocked. So what I'm talking about is, so this is your intake side on the turbo, and this is your exhaust side, and then this is the center section. If you look on here, see these this bolt right here, and see how there's this one right here, oh, right there. You can undo all those bolts around that ring, and well, you don't have to undo them. You loosen them, and then when you do that, you can actually turn this section, and that's called clocking the turbo. And you can also do it on the exhaust side too. See, there, boom, right there, right there, right there's one, right there's one, and you can basically twist it and turn it all the way around to get it to work for your setup. You're going to need to have the feed side of the center section on top, or as close to top as you can get it. You want it on top, and then you need the drain side on the bottom. Obviously, if you put the feed on the top, your drain's going to be on the bottom. Don't have it the other way around, which I think right now my feed is on the bottom, so I'm gonna have to flip it over. The easiest way to tell that is the feed has typically the smaller hole, and it'll also be threaded on most of the eBay turbos I've seen. So here, I'll get this off and you can actually look and see what my feed. So that is the feed side right there. And that's where the bolt would go, and the oil goes right in that middle hole. You can either get the, which what I'm going to do, it's a threaded fitting that goes right into the middle, or you can get a flange that bolts to those two outside bolts, and you put like a rubber hose over it or something like that. But I don't like that. I want to be able to like thread this all in, bolt it all together, because it's going to be semi-high pressure oil. Now onto the bottom side, the drain side of the turbo, let me get that off. It's got a little cover. The drain side's always going to be the big open like honking hole right there. So you can see that's the drain, and then you have your two bolt holes for the flange, and that's no big deal. You can go ahead and just stick a flange on it and then run a line off of there, and that goes to your oil pan to return the oil that comes out of the turbo back to the pan. And I mean, it's all pretty much self-explanatory, but I feel like if I don't say it, somebody will ask, and since I'm going through everything, I might as well say it. So I'm going to go ahead and break this stuff loose, and then I'm going to rotate it around to how I think roughly it's going to be set up. I got the manifold here. I'll slide it on and off the manifold, let you see kind of what it looks like, and I'll be right back. So yeah. Alright, so as I was talking about earlier, I didn't undo, but I loosened all the bolts on the back side of this right there, all those bolts, and now I can actually, oh, look at that, you can twist it. So now I can do what's called clocking the turbo, and I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up these exhaust side also, because I need to clock that. Okay, I'm back. Now I just did the exhaust side of the turbo, so if I hold the turbo, see the center section's not moving, and I can turn the exhaust side. Oh, so the goal of this is to get the feed to the top, and in relation to the manifold, that would be somewhere like right around here, I think. I'm going to snug this up and then try to mock test it onto the manifold and see where we're at. Oh, another quick note. Typically this isn't how, this is how you're supposed to do it. But on my first setup, I didn't get studs with the manifold, so I ended up putting bolts in it. And what I mean by studs is Bam, it's threaded on both sides, and it's got an unthreaded portion in the middle. And what that does is that threads down into, bam, into the manifold, into there, and then your turbo slides over that, and you put a nut on top of that. I just used bolts. They were a pain in the butt. They were tight. I couldn't hardly tighten them up because the wrench, it was a bad design. And then the bolts always came loose. So then I would, quit making as much boost, and I'd be like, what's going on? Next thing you know, I go out there and my turbo's about to fall off. So, yeah. I mean, one time I pulled up to the movie theater. My car was running like a slug. This is my old Civic. And then I go and pop the hood, and my turbo's holding on by one bolt. And just dumping exhaust everywhere. So, just a little side story. Nothing cool. But, yeah. So, upon further investigation, these studs are not the right size. They're too small. Watch this. They go in and they come out. So I'm going to need to get some studs. From what I remember, it's like the, I think M12 or whatever. It's a pretty standard exhaust stud. Like, you can buy it from AutoZone. But it's kind of put a kink in my plan right now for trying to mock test it. I can, like, hold it up to it, kind of. But, actually, let's do that. Let's see where we're at. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Here we go. So now, okay. So now you can see that's kind of roughly how it would bolt up to there. And what you want to see is you want to be able to look through that hole right there, and boom, there's the feed line. I am going to run a stainless feed line. I don't want to run it through there. Some people do. I actually want to rotate this housing so the feed line is going to be coming in like in front. So it's going to go at an angle, and it's going to go in this way. So I need to rotate that over here. So I need to get it in front of this mount. So like right there. Guys, I'm a dummy. I am not mounting the turbo like this. What was I thinking? I'm mounting the turbo like this. Intake on the right side. Gosh, what was I thinking? Because you can do it actually, you can do it either or, but the downpipe that I already have that's pre-made is set up for it to be mounted like this. This is a more common setup with the exhaust on the passenger side and the intake on the driver's side. Well, that changes everything because now my oil's in the wrong spot. You can see why this is a pretty important thing that gets overlooked when you're doing your turbo setup. A lot of people are, not even thinking about this, so then they get it all excited, kind of like I did on my first setup. Slap it all together, get out there, and then it's wrong, and then they're frustrated, and they're trying to do it in a hurry. So it's a good idea to do this on when you have some spare time and get it all really close, because that way if you need to tweak it, no big deal. You're really close to it. So, yeah. Now you have a really rough idea of how to clock your turbo and get it ready for your Civic, Integra. I mean, you can honestly take this knowledge and kind of apply it to just about anything, because most turbos are set up like that. A lot of OEM turbos won't let you clock them, but like some will have like notches, so it'll only let you clock it, like 25 degrees this way, 25 degrees that way. But aftermarket, I mean, it's pretty much free reign. Alright guys, so this is how mine's going to be set up. Manifold sitting on top. Oil feed is almost straight up and down right there. So that's really good setup for that. And then on the intake side, I believe I'm just going to be coming out and doing a 90 over to the right. So just to give you a rough idea of the setup for a B series. And this is the exhaust side. So yep. If you need any more help or anything, just let me know. Thanks. But yeah, thanks for all the good comments. If you have any questions or anything that you want me to go more in depth about, just shoot me a comment down below or send me a message to motornubs@gmail.com. That's the official email for it. And yeah, I'll help out any way I can. I'm by no means a professional.